Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my Chronically Cozy Life. My name is Randy, and this is our second Cozy Chats podcast, and I'm super excited about this one. The Cozy Chats podcast is all about bringing together chronically ill and neurodivergent entrepreneurs to talk about how we are building a business that honors our body and brains. Today I am talking to Kamina James all the way from Brisbane, Australia, and we are going to be talking about money mindset for creative entrepreneurs. Super excited about this one, so let's get right into it. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to my Cozy Chats podcast. I'm so excited you're here all the way from Brisbane, Australia. So, good morning to you. It is my late afternoon. It's 4 o'clock here. And what time is it there?
It's like 9 o'clock in the morning here.
Perfect. So you're having your coffee. I'm having my afternoon hydrating drink.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect. So, welcome. I'm so excited you're here. You're the second guest on my podcast. So, I'm so happy. As I've said, the whole hope for this podcast is to really talk about what it is to be an entrepreneur while being chronically ill and neurodivergent and share some tips. And you, as a business coach with a focus on money mindset, I feel like you're going to have a lot of amazing stuff to share with my people. So please,
I hope so.
Kamina, tell us all about yourself.
Hello, I'm Kamina. As Randy said, I'm a business coach. I mostly focus on coaching creative people to make money because I have always been a creative professional, worked in the creative industry since I was 4. And I just know that creatives are often told we can't make money out of the things that we do and we need to have a fallback career. And then when you pile neurodivergence or chronic illness on top of that, and there's a huge amount of overlap between creative people and neurodivergent people, we really need to work a different way. So I help creative people make money. I have a 12-week course and a community where I support creatives to build their first or their next income stream in a way that works with their energy and their capacity.
That's the big one, right? Like that's where I'm all about is like the with your energy and with your capacity. Like
absolutely,
because we just function so differently. And that was like when I started my first business, the thing that I found that like other coaches just didn't get.
Yeah.
It was so hard to find someone who didn't understand. And also, like, being that I work with people with chronic illness, like, they didn't understand my clientele's mindset either.
Yeah.
It's a weird struggle, hey?
Yeah, I find so much coaching so overwhelming, and no disrespect to my sisters in coaching who do work differently than I do. I'm so glad that it works for them. But when people are like, I've got a 12-step program or I've got a whole month marketing strategy, I just get so overwhelmed. I aim to make my coaching stuff really completable. Like it's so simple, and it's just one small thing per week that you need to try and achieve, and you'll get huge leverage from that. We just don't have necessarily the capacity to do the million-step system that other people might be pushing sometimes.
That's like my whole focus with like the products that I'm building is breaking it down so that like you can take small steps when you need to. Yes. I love it. And I love that I'm finding so many more coaches that are going for like the same thing because like that's what I struggled with as a baby entrepreneur. That was like the real hard thing was finding anybody who just like understood what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So nice. So you work with money mindset, which is something that kind of like, I don't know, I've never really understood. I've always kind of like been like, yeah, I deserve money and I am worth like, my stuff is worth charging for and stuff like that. I've actually had like a pretty good mindset about that.
Right.
So yeah, winning for me, just struggling to actually, make the money, right? Like,
yeah.
The only problem is there's never enough of it. Um,
Well, I think the thing is, if you're struggling to make money, sometimes it's a mindset issue
that's
as well as
true.
being a practical issue, which is why
That's
I always
true.
say I teach business basics and money mindset. So
Yeah.
it's very, very practical. The thing that I get told a lot is that I'm so practical, which I think is not what people think of when they hear money mindset. They think it's going to be a bit woo.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I'm extremely pragmatic.
And so, and in that, I was gonna say, I'm a little worried to ask because I feel like you're gonna bring something up and I'm gonna be like, oh, actually, my mindset is not as good. What are like the biggest challenges that you're seeing people facing?
Well, I think that, I'm going to name a few things, and a lot of them will be common to everybody, not just people who are neurodivergent or chronically unwell, but some of them are a little bit pointier for us. So it's really great that you said, I deserve money and my stuff is worth money, because a lot of people even struggle with that concept, especially in the creative industries. Like, creative people are told over and over again that art is not worth money, that you can't make money from being an actor or being a musician or being whatever, unless you like get a lucky break and strike it really big and you're Taylor Swift or something, right? We don't have space for the in between, like just the idea of just having a stable, steady, pretty boring income as a creative person. Yeah, and we find it really hard to know what to charge for art, and it's so tied up in our identity, because it's like, this is something that I created and now I have to try and put a price tag on it, and if people don't want to buy it, it's like a rejection of me. And so that's really, really difficult, particularly for artistic or creative people. So I just help people to try and cultivate a sort of neutral, I call it shoulder shrug energy around money, and just and just say to themselves, oh, that's just what it costs. Okay, like whether it's you're talking about your own work or when it's something that you have to buy, because obviously you might struggle to spend money if you're struggling to make money, and so just shrug and go, that's just what it costs. That's cool. That's just what it costs. That's the amount it costs. So try to be neutral. So that's a big thing I see, and then I think another huge one that comes up particularly for people that have like inconsistent capacity, or have that ADHD, shiny object syndrome, always switching careers, always changing things, always revamping our offerings, is that it's really can be very. I wasn't meaning to call anyone out there, Randy. It can be really hard to make steady money if you keep chopping and changing what you do. And if you've got a history of looking back and thinking, I never stick to anything, or I can't stick with a real job. And so you start to see yourself as this person who's sort of inconsistent, unreliable, wouldn't deserve to make a lot of money or couldn't possibly stick at something long enough to make a lot of money. And I see that a lot with my clients. And so I'm always trying to help them to cultivate this mindset of like, this isn't my mantra. I think this came from Denise Duffield Thomas, or it might have come from Anna, the heart-centered entrepreneur. I'll credit them both and people can look them both up. But this mantra I use all the time, which is boring business, exciting life. Like, it's okay for your business to be kind of boring. I think that's one of Anna's, actually. It's okay to just do the same thing all the time, because that steadiness builds income. But that's something that is really, really difficult, particularly for a neurodivergent or a creative brain, to cope with. And so I help people sit with that discomfort of just, it's allowed to be a little bit boring. If you didn't make 5 sales in the first week, you're not doing it wrong. You need to wait 3 months, and then assess. You need to keep doing this over and over for 3 months and then see where you're at. And that's tough, and people just need a coach to hold their hand through that stage very often.
I definitely do that. I jump around a lot. And for like most of my life before I like started my own thing and it was like jumping from business to business, I tended to blame them. So I think I held like an okay mindset around myself about that. But like I was like, well, these people were just like awful to work with. Like, why would I want to stay there, kind of thing. But yeah, I definitely like the shiny object syndrome is hard. And like, I never really even thought about that as like, and I knew that was going to be a thing. Like, I never really thought about that as being like a mindset thing, because when you're jumping from thing to thing, and I know I do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really hard for us creative brain people to go, oh man, I just need to stick with this boring thing that doesn't seem to be working. And I always say to my clients, it is working. You're doing it right. You have to keep doing it. And then I see a lot of ADHDers, and particularly, and I speak to that because I'm an ADHDer, so that's the thing that I feel like most familiar with. We often have the opposite problem, which is that we can't start anything because we're so crippled by perfectionism. And so that holds people back from making money as well, because they're so afraid to submit the work or send the pitch because they've got RSD, and they think if the client comes back and says, no, thanks, I don't want to work with you, then it crushes our whole business and we want to burn it all down. And so trying to hold people's hand through that balance of, you need to stick at the same thing and be quite steady with it to make money, at least for 3 or 6 months at a time. But also you need to be okay with tweaking as you go and being flexible. You're not going to get it perfect right out the gate. It's normal for things to evolve. And if someone doesn't like what you're offering, that's just data, and you can change things a bit and keep moving along. Just that balance is really tricky, especially for a brain that's pulling you in different directions.
I learned very early on in my, I think, I can't remember who was the first person to tell me, but the do things messy, and just things are, it's better done than done perfectly, and adapting that into my process that has been a savior for sure.
A game changer, right? An absolute game changer. My favorite technique, which I always push my clients to do too, so I'm warning you, if you want to work with me, you'll come up against this. My technique is announce it before you have made the thing. Start selling something before it's created. Because if you wait until you're ready to sell it, you will just tweak it and perfect it and procrastinate. If you say to people, I'm holding an event on the 20th of April, and you start selling tickets, you've got to write that content, if you go, I'm launching a course and you have people enrolled in the course, you got to make the stuff and start sending it out. So I always tell people to do that.
Setting a date, that can help a ton with that one, for
absolutely.
Sure. One of the things that you said in there that I had to make a note of was working around, figuring out what to charge. How do you help, because I know, as a freelance writer, there are industry standards out there. I was able to Google that. That was easy enough. But, when they're dealing with, creative stuff, how do you work around that and help them find that?
Gosh, I could talk about this for 30 minutes. I won't. I'll try and give you the 2-minute version. I do talk about it for 30 minutes in my course. I've got a whole module on pricing. So how do you decide what to charge? Well, I always tell people there is no correct price, because often for neurodivergent brains, they're looking for the right answer. There is no correct price. People are charging, $50 for something that other people are charging $5,000 for. So the correct price is the right price for you, that you feel comfortable with. Basically, the amount of money that you won't feel resentful doing this job for. That's got to be your absolute bottom line. And then if you can make more, make more. But your bottom line has to be that it's worth it to me. That amount of money is worth it to me. I'm getting paid enough for my time, my energy, maybe the fact that I have to put on makeup and go on a Zoom call when I don't. That takes a lot out of me. You got to charge a little extra for that. It's got to be the right price for you. And then I always say to people, if you're putting it out there at the price that it is, first of all, you got to hold fast, because if you have to be okay with people saying yes or no, you just have to go, that's just what it costs, yes or no. If too many people are saying no and you think, my price is too high, don't automatically drop the price. I would say you might need to tweak the people that you're pitching to. Maybe you need to get in front of a wealthier audience, or someone people who value what you're doing a little differently. You might need to tweak your product, do something that you can deliver for less money, but you're still getting paid enough. So figure out a way to simplify it, or that you put less energy in, so that maybe you can package something that is more accessibly priced for people, but it's not by undercutting yourself and just dropping your price for the same service. So that's what I always say. But there's no correct price. Smart. I've got millions of tools and tricks coming up with your price. I've got a whole process. But at the end of the day, if you're an intuitive person, it's actually also okay to just pick something that feels good to you and go with your gut, as long as it's worth it. You just have to imagine you get the email from the client saying, yes, I'd like to do this. Imagine how you're going to feel if you're going to be paid that amount of money for that thing. If you feel good, that price is good. If you feel bad, change the price.
Yes. I like that. That's fantastic. That's amazing. I've struggled a lot with like going up and down in pricing, and like there are like industry standards, but then it's like if you're new at it, or if you're intermediate, and I'm like, where do I qualify
Yeah.
here? Like, I've been doing this for a while, but do I qualify as? And I go back and forth a lot. So I put it out to the community to ask any questions, and I did get one really good one, and that was how to deal when flaring. Like when you can't work because you're stuck in a flare, and you have to deal with like the money mindset around that, because like you have to work sometimes, and like so how do you help people around that?
Well, I'll preface this by saying I don't live with chronic illness or chronic pain. So I can't speak from that direct experience, but I think probably a comparable experience for me as someone who has a history of mental unwellness would be, having a depressive episode, or having one of those days or weeks where you can't get out of bed, or where your brain isn't functioning. I just recently was having some real trouble with my executive functioning, and actually had to email someone for a job, not related to coaching. I find coaching I can do even when I feel really sick, but some brain work that I had to email them and say, I'm sorry, I won't be able to do this job because my functioning is just not up to scratch. So I do relate to that. And I think, I don't really have an answer that's a quick fix, though I do have a couple of mindset tweaks. One of the things that I am really conscious of with my own business and then with my clients is that we have to expect that we're going to have periods of time where we can't work. We have to expect that those flare-ups, or those mental unwellness periods or whatever, that's normal, and that is part of how we work. And I think the problem is that we kind of expect ourselves to be able to operate at a certain capacity, and we plan our business around that, and it's not always realistic. And so I think when we have those real unexpected times of like, oh my gosh, I can't work for longer than I realized because I'm feeling unwell, I'm always trying to make people's business, like I'm trying to make them resilient to that. And so I always teach my clients long-term strategies like building an emergency fund. If you're creative / neurodivergent / chronically unwell / you have mental health issues, you've got to expect, and even just for a normal freelancer, even a freelancer who can work all the time, freelance work is up and down, right? And that's a feature. That's not a bug. That's a feature. That's how it's supposed to be. And so we need to build a savings reserve. You need to have a cash reserve so that when you have those low months, you go, that's fine. I don't need to work because I'm supposed to dip into these savings. I don't have to feel guilty for dipping into these savings. That's what it's for, because my income is inconsistent. So I guess having that mindset from the start, my income is inconsistent, and that's correct. I'm not doing anything wrong. That's normal for me and the way I work. And so just setting yourself up long-term, that's not going to help you this week if you're having a flare, but thinking long-term, don't make yourself wrong for having inconsistent income. Actually try and set yourself up to manage that. And then I think that's why I also always encourage people to have what I call fast money and slow money. When you're building your offerings for your business, first, think of something that you could make money from next week. Like someone could contact you and you could deliver it right away. So like if you're a copywriter, it might be like, I can write your website. I don't need any prep for that. If you give me a deposit today, I can start tomorrow, right? So try and have a fast money idea so you can inject cash when you're able to work. But also always be working on what I call a slow money idea, which is something that will probably take a while to build up, but that will run with less input from you in the background. So there's no such thing as truly passive income, but those things that are like digital products that you can sell and repeat, or, things that kind of run themselves with minimal input from you. For example, a model that's like a low input model in my business, like I do one-on-one coaching, which is really high touch and I need to be really present. And then I do my group coaching course, which basically runs itself. I pop up in the Facebook group when I'm able to answer people's questions, like a certain number of times a week, but it's not on a specific time. And I coach my group twice a month. And I can do that kind of work even on a day when I'm having a really bad mental health day. It energizes me. I can do it just in my pajamas. It's fine. And that's only 2 hours a month commitment that I actually have to show up for. And so having that kind of model, something in your business where you're like, it's really easy for me to deliver. Either it's something I don't have to be involved in, like a digital product, or it's the kind of work that I know I can do even when I'm having a bad health day. I think building that kind of offering into your business is a really good idea.
That's really smart. And that, like, saying that's really smart feels a little like I'm praising myself, because that is what I'm trying to go for, and that is that is what I definitely like try to coach my clients to do as well, is like try and vary your money sources and what you can do, and like try not to take on too many things. Try and get one thing going first. That, like, having that flexibility of different types of things bringing in income, so important.
It's actually way more financially secure than having a normal job. I always say to want you guys to build one income stream at a time. Like you just said, Randy, only focus on one thing, then it's stable. You can stack another thing. But ultimately, wealthy people have an average of 7 income streams. So to have 6 or 7 income streams, that is the correct design for a self-employed kind of enterprise. And so then when one drops off, or you can't deliver on that one thing, or you need to pause it for a while, the other things will keep you going financially.
Yeah. That's the dream. That is what I'm going for in everything that I'm doing, is trying to have my freelance services and my coaching services, and then my products and my whatever else I end up getting, my directory. Okay. Are there any other, like, if anyone else is like just getting started and they're just starting to consider becoming an entrepreneur and they're struggling with that money mindset, what kind of tips would you throw out there to help them take those steps forward?
I think especially for creative people, I think you need to just get over the idea that you can't make money being creative. That's a really big thing. And you need to let go of the all or nothing thinking of like, I either have to make it really big or I'm going to be a poor, starving artist.
Yeah.
And actually remember, there are plenty of people who have boring, I use the word boring a lot, like boring working lives, just being artistic and creative, and you can be one of those working artists. I think that's the biggest money mindset hurdle to get over. And I say artists because that's who I tend to work with, creative people. I work with marketers and anyone who sees themselves as creative. But just getting over the idea that you can't make money self-employed being creative, get over it. And the other thing I would say, this one is controversial, but I'm going to say it.
Love the controversial ones.
Most people who start out on their own business work harder than if they had a normal job, okay? Because if you've got a day job and you're starting a business as a side hustle, I'm not going to lie to you. That is hard work, and you need to work hard for like 6 months, a year. That's okay that you're going to be working sometimes at night, or if you've got kids, it'll be working during that time, whatever. That's okay, right? For a little while. But I see people who are like, a year, 2 years, 5 years into their business, and they're, maybe if it's a full-time business, they're working weekends, they're working nights, they're working long days, they're working longer than if they had a normal job, right? I think from the beginning, I want to encourage people to set themselves up to work part-time, and only part-time from the start. I have never worked full-time in a business. I've never worked more than 20 hours a week as a self-employed person, ever. Not even at the start. Never. I've never done it, because if you can't get your business going on 20 hours a week, like, what are you even doing? You're setting yourself up to be working 60 hours plus a week forever. And so my controversial opinion is that from the start, you should only expect yourself to put in part-time hours, and you should only allow yourself to put in part-time hours. And especially if you're someone who knows you have inconsistent capacity. Like, my work routine right now is I work 4 half days a week.
Smart.
But one of them is Friday. I only work Friday if I have to, like if I didn't get through everything. Or maybe if I had a bad day earlier in the week, I need to make up for stuff on Friday. But I don't plan to work. I don't put a whole lot of tasks in for Friday. It's the overflow day. And so I think we've got to set ourselves up with this expectation that some weeks we'll want to work a lot, other weeks we won't be able to work much. So you cannot plan to work every available hour. You can only plan to work for some of the time, and then you've got a bit of overflow when you need it. So that might just sound crazy, because I know that and people will be hearing this and feeling like resentful or angry at me and thinking that's not right, that's not possible, because they're feeling stressed because they've worked so hard. But I'm just telling you, you don't have to. I've never had to, and there's nothing special about me. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's actually, it's a mindset thing. It's the biggest mindset thing. Yeah. It's a mindset thing. Yeah.
It's setting your system up and believing that you can and are worth that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just disciplining yourself to stop work, which is the hardest thing.
Not letting myself just work all the time is definitely one of those things that, like, I have to stop doing.
Yeah.
Because like I can, really hard. And I love my business and I love what I do, and it's a little bit like I feel guilty that, like, when I'm not doing it, I'm not doing something to make money, and so anything else that I'm doing, like, you know, isn't worth it. And like I know that that's crazy, but like still yeah, that's definitely one I struggle to get over. And like not working all the time, like in all of my free time, like making myself stop and step away and do something else, take pleasure in one of my many other cozy little hobbies and projects. Oh my God, I have so many projects on the go right now.
Yes, yeah.
And so I need to do them.
And that's the whole point. And I think I always tell people to schedule other things. Schedule them in, put them in your calendar, and try and make yourself accountable, whether it's like to a friend you're going to meet up with or to your partner, and you say to your partner, I'm stopping work at 4:00 and we're going to go for a walk, whatever. Schedule things in, book yourself in for a dance class, or like, you know, go to like a crochet group or whatever, so that you have to go to that thing instead of working. Like, just make yourself accountable to other people.
I'm going to a craft night tonight and I'm very excited.
So good.
And I have been like very purposely like taking it easy in between meetings and like making sure I rest so that I have enough energy to do it.
So you can go craft.
Yes. My gosh, the amount of thought that goes into things when you have a brain and a body that just doesn't want to function quite right.
Absolutely.
It's a whole thing. Kamina, thank you so much for coming and talking to us. If somebody wants to work with you and get their money and mindset in order, how do they contact you?
Well, you can find me at KaminaJames.com, or I'm at Kamina James on Instagram. I'm available for one-on-one coaching. You can sign up for a free 30-minute session with me if you want to get a taste of what that coaching is like, or come and join our group. It is a wonderful online community of creative entrepreneurs. I've got total newbies, and I've got people who've been doing creative work for years, but it's a really fantastic community, and I love doing my group coaching. So come and join us in Create and Get Paid if you're keen for that.
Love it. I'll make sure to drop all of those links down below. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that everybody watching enjoyed and got something from it. If anybody has any questions or comments for Kamina, please drop them in the comments below, and I'll make sure that she gets them. I think that's all the things. Make sure you subscribe, like, and do all of that stuff, and I will see you next time. Bye!
Bye!